For years, teacher evaluation has been treated as a compliance exercise, something we do to teachers rather than with them. Observations feel like isolated events, checklists are completed, and at the end of the year, many teachers struggle to recall their original professional growth goals. But what if we flipped the script? What if we moved from compliance to true professional growth? What if observations weren't just about ratings, but were a part of a continuous cycle of coaching, reflection, and development? That's what we're exploring today, and we'll explore for the rest of our time together. How intentional feedback and connected observations can transform teaching, helping educators become the most effective professionals they can be. Let's start with why this matters. Why the quality of teaching is the single greatest factor in student success. We've known for decades that teacher effectiveness has a direct and lasting impact on students. Research from Sanders and Rivers in 1996 found that students placed with highly effective teachers for 3 years in a row significantly outperform their peers. And the impact doesn't fade, it stays with them for years. Unfortunately, the opposite is also true. Even one ineffective teacher can set a student back for up to 3 years. And students who have multiple ineffective teachers in a row, many never catch up. This makes one thing clear. Growing teachers is not optional. It's one of the most urgent and important responsibilities of school leaders. If we know that highly effective teaching changes student trajectories, then the next question is, how do we ensure more students have access to highly effective teachers? This is where leadership comes in. The 2021 Wallace Foundation study highlights that principals don't just affect student learning directly. Their greatest impact is through the teachers they hire, support, and develop. This means that as leaders, our primary role is not just to manage a building, it is to grow great teachers. But before we can improve teaching, we need a shared understanding of what effective actually looks like. In Kentucky, we have a clear roadmap for what effective teaching looks like, the Kentucky Framework for Teaching. This framework gives us 4 key areas to focus on: planning, classroom environment, instruction, and professional responsibilities. But simply having a framework isn't enough. Too often, teachers and leaders see it as just another compliance document, something to check off rather than a tool to drive meaningful growth and conversations. The key is using the framework as a foundation for real, ongoing coaching conversations that lead to improvement. So how do we support teachers in actually growing? Well, one major factor is how we give feedback. A 2017 report from SREB took a fresh look at feedback in schools. The key finding? The traditional judgment-based approach to teacher feedback just doesn't lead to improvement. Instead, feedback needs to be growth-oriented, reflective, specific, and actionable. When feedback is framed as a conversation rather than a judgment, teachers are more engaged, more reflective, and more willing to try new strategies. They are empowered to grow. This brings us to a critical distinction, one that determines whether our feedback actually helps teachers grow or not. In many schools, the evaluation process follows a predictable pattern. The principal asks teachers to create a professional growth plan at the beginning of the year, but it quickly becomes a forgotten document. Each observation is treated as a separate event, unrelated to the previous one. The principal watches a lesson, writes notes, meets with the teacher, assigns ratings, signs papers, and moves on. By the end of the year, the process is complete, but it has not actually grown the teacher. Now, contrast that with a connected coaching cycle. Instead of isolated observations, the principal starts by uncovering the teacher's strengths and goals. Observations then focus on gathering evidence of progress towards that goal. Each post-observation conversation builds on the last, helping the teacher reflect, adjust, and know how to continue to move forward. By the end of the year, Instead of simply completing an evaluation process, the teacher has actually grown, and that growth has a direct impact on student learning. So, how do we build a system where coaching is not an afterthought, but a natural part of the way we do things? Well, first, we have to shift the mindset. Teachers shouldn't view observations as something to endure, but as opportunities to grow. And next, leaders must be intentional about how they coach. This means using the Kentucky Framework for Teaching as a growth tool, not just an evaluation tool. Building coaching capacity within the leadership team. Having frequent, low-stakes coaching conversations with teachers. And encouraging and fostering teacher-led reflection. When we do this, feedback becomes more than a compliance requirement. It becomes a part of a continuous improvement cycle that benefits both teachers and students. At the end of the day, our goal is not just to complete evaluations. Our goal is to grow teachers. Teachers don't grow through isolated observations. They grow through intentional coaching and connected feedback cycles. When principals focus on building teachers up, when they shift from compliance to true instructional leadership, then teachers feel more supported, more engaged, and more effective. And when teachers grow, students succeed. So here's the challenge. How will you transform your school's approach to teacher growth? Will you stick with compliance, or will you commit to creating a system where coaching and connected feedback truly drive teacher improvement? The choice we make doesn't just affect our teachers, it affects our students, and they deserve the best teachers we can give them. Thank you.